Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Well, hello, good evening and welcome. How's your telephone? How's your computer? Were you trying to get Oasis tickets? Well, we're the second hottest ticket around. We are the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show. My name's Dave Parkinson, and unlike the Gallaghers, I've never fallen out with the man sitting opposite me, Mr. Steve Beach. It's great to be back together again, mate.
Parky, don't look back in anger. I've told you, little by little, we'll get through this.
I like it. Well, I just thought that they were nuts on supermarkets. You know, because they sung that Wonderwall and that had like Sainsbury's and then little by little. I just thought they were nuts on supermarkets.
It's funny, I saw something the other day, speaking of Lidl, where a guy did a top 10 rundown of songs, but all the name of the bands were items were in that, you know, that middle stall in Lidl, but that sells everything and everything.
Don't tell me there's a green caterpillar.
That there might have been, yeah.
Okay.
It was really good, and he did it in the, you know, the proper style like Alan Freeman used to do years ago. You know, hi there, pop pickers. You know, number 10 is.
Hey, maybe that's the way that we could, read through the National Conference League results after.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
No. Anyway, we are back. We've got a little bit giddy because, you know, I was pressing my own buttons last week and trying to make myself sound good, which it hasn't really worked for the last couple of weeks. So I'm really pleased to be back in the company of you, Steve. How have you been?
Been busy. I had relatives over from the States, so we've been doing everything and anything, been all over the place, and so that's why I've been tied up. But yeah, it was great to see my granddaughter. Don't see her that regular, sort of in the flesh as it were. Ironically, we managed to take her to a rugby league match. Not the best rugby league game in the world, but she went, and she is a supporter of the rugby league. In fact,
you mean you didn't get over to Crossfields? You didn't introduce her to the delights of Crossfields, considering how close that is to your house here.
Do you know what? There was at one point where my son did actually say, "Do you know what? If we could have got her in on a girls' game, she would have loved it." She said, "Oh, because it's a pity we can't do it, Grandad, because I'd love to tattle some of the other girls." But that wasn't the actual words that she used. I think it was smash was the word. So I said, no, we don't smash people. Well, we maybe do, whatever now. But yeah.
So what was the game then?
We went to Old KR and Saints, which probably would have been better going watching Crossfields.
I would agree.
Lee Miners Rangers.
I would definitely agree with you there. Yeah. That was much the better of the games.
But when I booked the tickets, it looked like, this could be an interesting game for the end of the season because Saints were doing well. Ulkr were on the buzz that they're on, had started that run. It was on a Friday originally, and then obviously Sky took over, and it's on a Saturday. So. And my son was going off, or both my sons that were then going off on the Saturday down to watch the AEW wrestling, I think it is. Okay. And that was on at Wembley, which is another one of these big wrestling events that they like to go to. And they'd been over watching the same events over in, I'll tell you, it was WWE. They went watching last year over at Philadelphia. So my son had come over and they reciprocated. But my granddaughter enjoyed the rugby.
The experience. Is she saying we died in the wool KR fan?
I mean, to be honest, she didn't know half the players because obviously they're not the ones that they usually watch.
Well, to be honest, I think most Saints paying spectators wouldn't know who half the players were at the moment, would they? No. It'd be left to those amongst us like myself who have been, dyed in the wool nerds.
Yeah, it was funny because on Saturday they'd gone home on Friday, and on Saturday I was watching Crossfields against Lee East. Lee Miners, that was it. On
what a mistake to make!
It's easy mistake. And I was watching that, and obviously with us covering both sides. I thought, do you know what? Me and Parky could have covered this because we know all these players. But yeah, it was that was a good game, and there was a few other good ones on as well. And I like the fact that they record the games and put them on. So certainly with us going round now, I'm managing, from my point of view, to get to know quite a few of these teams and players. Mm-hmm. It's great to you recognise them and see how they're going on. And Yeah, I like that very much.
I mean, this is the aim of where we want to take the podcast as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and sort of getting to know the the players and the teams a little bit better, getting to know the competitions. I was saying to someone at the weekend, for me, a big part of it is acknowledging the histories of these amateur clubs, and that was always something that was a driver for me back in when I did all them on tours.
Yeah.
Which I can't believe they're still getting hits.
Yeah.
There's still people who are downloading them 4 years later.
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure the people that are coming across them are thinking they've got a rugby team there, you know, and obviously those on tours that you did, they were really, really good. They were a nice size. They were at obviously the right time, in COVID. You know what I mean? They weren't heavy listening. They were just nice to know how various clubs were formed, any interesting bits and all those types of things. And as we said at the time, you know, it's not a game that's just played either side of the M62. It's played the length and breadth of the countries, and not country.
It certainly is, but, as we usually do, we do start along the M62 corridor, because it would be remiss of us not to acknowledge where the sport is at its strongest.
Yeah, and that's understandable to a certain extent.
So I first of all, if I may, would like to start with the results. And talking about the Yorkshire Men's League, if that would be okay, Steve.
Yeah, I would like the Yorkshire Men's.
Did you notice how I didn't tell you about anything what I've been up to? Because with me, it's just rugby, and work. A bit sad, really, isn't it? A bit sad, that.
I've not done anything other than rugby and work then, Packy.
No.
You've not bought anything while I've been away, have you? You've not had a secret purchase that you've not told me about.
Only to be fair, I've got a couple of new lenses for my camera.
Yeah.
The multiplying. I've got about 7 lenses now for my camera, but I've had a belter that's arrived today.
Excellent.
So the next opportunity I get will be
Machine Gun Parkinson will be out this weekend.
That's us sort of summed up, isn't it? So what about the Rugby League? Well, let us head over to the Yorkshire Men's League and start with the Premier Division, where I think this was the final round of matches, wasn't it, for the regular season?
For the majority of them, I'm sure it was. I mean, look at some of the end divisions, whether they are fully complete, I'm not sure. But certainly, from a results point of view, it sort of sets things up ready for the playoffs.
And some outstanding results as well. So taking the results of the Premier Division, Keighley Albion 22, King Cross Park 38, so the Halifax side getting the better of Albion in the end there. Fryston Warriors 20, Westgate Common 18, fantastic game there. And Almondry Spartans 22, Newsom Panthers 20. And then there was a decider, wasn't there, which was played last weekend. So Doncaster Tollbar hosting Stanley Rangers. The two have been going hammer and tongs right at the top of the Yorkshire Men's Division. And what happened?
Well, it was a top of the table decider, as you say, and it was Rangers Stanley Rangers against Doncaster Tollbar, and it saw Stanley come away with the 2 points, and they become top of the table. Yorkshire Men's League Premier Division winners with a 34 points to 14 win. Half-time score saw Rangers ahead 22 points to 10 with tries from Liam Grimmett, Pat Harrison, Liam Gaunt and Joel Walsh, and 3 successful conversions also from Liam Gaunt. In the second half, Rangers pulled away with another 2 tries from Joel March, which again were converted by Liam Gaunt. I've got to say congratulations there to Stanley Rangers. Obviously, that moves them on to this next week, as I say, to the playoffs point of view. But yeah, what a finish! The last game of the season decides. You can write that, because that is what you want at the end of the day, isn't it?
I mean, it just shows again how competitive, doesn't it? The top end of the Premier Division is. There in the Yorkshire Men's League. Moving into Division 1, a lot of 24-0s here, by the way. So I'm thinking there's a few teams that have not quite fulfilled the fixture and have given the other team the points. Wibsey Warriors 0, Murfield 24. Siddle Academy 24, Cutsite Raiders 0. Ossett Trinity Tigers 36, Charleston Rovers 0. Good result that for Ossett Trinity Tigers. A result that puts them in the playoffs for next week. And Bradford Dudley Hill 24, Hunslet 0.
Yeah, some interesting scores there. I mean, got to be said that Bradford Dudley Hill one was that 24-0 one you were saying. Well, apparently, the third place Bradford, they would have handed that walkover win at home to Hunslet, which caused a little bit of frustration because apparently they because it was the last game of the season, they'd planned a big family fun day at the ground to mark the final ground. So a bit disappointing there from, because we know what it's like when we've been to some of these days, and they can be absolutely superb. And obviously, money over the bar to help with things.
Well, if you heard my interview with Mark Saunders from Hurst Finch last week, he was saying the same thing. Like, they've got a last game of the season arranged with Latchford Albion, and they've got it sold out. It's all sponsored up. They're hoping to have a really big end to the season there. You'd be cheesed off to the nines, wouldn't you? If
massively.
The other team decided that it weren't going to fulfil that fixture.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah.
You know what? That is going to rumble through the off season. Yeah. Those are the type of things where we should look at when those sides play each other next season, because that's the sort of unwritten nastiness which can happen, isn't it? Grudges.
I mean, the bottom line is there might be a perfectly, reasonable, sort of reason behind it why they've not been able to fulfil it. But I mean, you know what it's like. You know what my views on some of the 24-0ers. When you get the likes of some teams that can't be bothered, and then you get other teams like Egremont Rangers, who we know they've fulfilled all their NCLs, and they've got to. But the thing is, they've gone ahead and done it. They could have done the same as some other teams over the past, and sort of said, you're not on. Especially where they are from a country point of view in the NCL, the way it is. But they haven't, and they've gone and done it. But yeah. And we know with regards to funds for clubs and things like that. So, it leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in the mouth, doesn't it?
Murfield are top, by the way, by just 10 points difference against Siddle. So both of those sides were locked on 22 points at the end of the regular season fixtures. And it was close as well between Bradford Dudley Hill, who's 24-0, boosted their point difference, by the way, which helped them get above Ossett Trinity Tigers, who are also on 16 points. Yeah. What a good win that was for Ossett Trinity Tigers, though, because it meant that Charleston Rovers didn't make the playoffs, which is perhaps, well, when you think of the pedigree of that club and how it's gone about its business over the years, the amount of Yorkshire Men's League finals, the amount of BAL Cups finals that they've been in, and how well thought of that club is. It's a bit of a story, that, isn't it, for Ossett Trinity Tigers to keep them out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, looking at the other results, this time from Division 2, and we have Mould Green 26, Seacroft Sharks 4, Illingworth 24, Queensbury 0, Brighouse Rangers 70, Emley Moor Cougars 0, Birkenshaw Blue Dogs 23, Castleford Panthers 16. That's a great result for Birkenshaw.
Yeah.
And those are all the results. For some reason, some of these clubs on this Yorkshire Men's League website have the results printed twice. So I'm having to watch what I'm saying, like with half of it, because I might end up reading it out again. You know what I'm like. You give me something to read, Steve, and I just read it, don't I?
Verbatim.
So what does that do to the league? Well, Brighouse Rangers top with 23 points. Mould Green level with Cass Panthers on 20 points each. Mould Green with a slightly better point difference. Seacroft Sharks making those playoffs with 8 wins and 6 defeats. And looking ahead to Division 3, so the results from last week, some top games took place this past weekend in Division 3. Wyke 22, Upton 30, Bramley Buffaloes 24, Dodworth Miners 20, York Acorn 14, Birstall Victoria 38. Some good results there.
Yeah, as you say, Wyke finished second bottom of Division 3, but they put up a good fight there at home to Upton on the final day. Same as going down 30-22. But that just highlights where they really had nothing to play for to a certain extent.
Mm.
Yeah, they put up a good game
really
there.
Good fight.
Yeah,
really good fight. Division 4, Sherburn Bears 10, York Barbarians 16, Alton Raiders 6, West Craven Warriors 58, Goole Vikings 40, Underbank Rangers 24. Good end to the season there for Goole.
Yeah.
And of course the big story is will they or won't they, because they've put in for a place in League One next season.
Yeah.
Have Goole, so they're waiting to sort of hear about whether or not their application to become a semi-professional side is a success. It's fascinating where that one will go.
Yeah.
And I have actually, I will be in touch.
That's
with
massive,
Goole.
isn't it? When you consider, I mean, no disrespect to the Yorkshire Men's League.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was somebody NCL or whatever, you would probably think, well, do you know what? They'll fare well. I'm not saying that they won't, but I mean, it's bold. I wish them all the best with it. I do. And yeah, to watch that coming through is going to be great.
Yeah. So it's one of the big stories really that's going to be taking part over the closing stages of the season. Will they or won't they get this nod for League One next season, which would be brilliant for the area if they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's quite a small town, isn't it? But they've got a pretty good catchment area with regards to what's around. And also I'm thinking as well from where they can get their players from. Obviously there'll be players who get released from Hull and Hull Kingston Rovers. So they'd surely have first dibs on them, wouldn't they?
They must have a good business plan behind this sort of attempt to do this. I mean, because they're going to get asked lots and lots of questions, aren't they? I mean, they would do, like I say, if they were an NCL side. But even to do, sort of from where they are, you got to say, that's going to be really interesting. I wish them all the best. I honestly do.
Let's have a look at Division 5 results, shall we? So Garforth Tigers 0, Criggleston All Blacks 24, Farnley Falcons 0, Scarborough Pirates 24, and Durham Valley Bulldogs 32, Derby Elks 36. As you know, that's the sort of game I like.
Yeah, it's
loads of points, tackle bags at the side.
Oh, you got to look there. Lindley St Joseph's are at the top of that division with the Durham Valley Bulldogs second.
And I didn't mention Lindley St Joseph's. They finished their league campaign with a 34-12 defeat of Batley. So that was good.
So, it shows there's, again, good competition. You've got Derby Elkswood on 20 points. So you had 20, 21 and 22. Close. So that's good competition, isn't it?
Into Division 6, and I do know that Keighley Albion Academy were meant to be playing over at Charleston Rovers, but Charleston Rovers Academy couldn't raise a side.
That's right, yeah.
So they gave the points to Keighley Albion. So that's a confirmed 24-0 to Keighley Albion. Moortown Mambas 30, Rycroft Hammers 12. I believe there's a feature in one of the rugby league things, magazines about Moortown Mambas.
I don't know. Stealing our thunder.
They've got to him first. That's what it is. It's what happens when the Yorkshire based, isn't it? But I mean, they've had a good season.
Very good, yeah.
King Cross Park 16, Hemsworth Dragons 28. And again, let's have a look at the NCL Alliance results. Shawcross Sharks 0, Stanningley 24, Eastmoor Dragons 16, West Bowling Academy 44, and Heworth 38, Milford 20. So again, some high scoring games there. What has been encouraging is the fact that I know that Eastmoor Dragons pulled out of the National Conference League just a few weeks before the start of this season. Yeah. They have been keeping up with the second team fixtures throughout the season. Which,
well, just looking there,
that impresses me, because it shows that because sometimes you're worried about where they're going, and does this mean that they've fallen on really hard times? Is there a club there anymore? Yeah, and there obviously is, because they've been doing okay, haven't they? They've been fulfilling fixtures.
Yeah, I'm just looking there at teams that have pulled out and had concessions given against them, and Eastmoor Dragons, out of all the games played, they've played actually more games than everybody else.
Have they?
I know. You've got one team that's played 7, which was Bentley, and then you've got Eastmoor Dragons who've actually played 13.
Right, okay.
So obviously there's a lot of different concessions here, there and everywhere.
So fair play to them, for doing what they've done.
And Bentley, by the way, it may not be that they've had to been penalised. It might be that the teams they were playing against, they've not been able to get much scored in there.
In the Hull division, the results last week, well, there weren't any, to be fair. that was a quick one, wasn't it? To be honest,
that was really good.
It was. And if you look at that division, East Hull are top with 20 points, run away with it really. West Hull second with 6 wins from the 8 games. However, you've got Skirler who's giving away a couple of points concession wise, haven't you? And then you've got Cottingham that's giving away a couple of points as well. Alongside the Scunthorpe Steel Sharks, which, you know what, if Moortown members have been stolen from us,
we're going after the Scunthorpe Steel Sharks.
Scunthorpe Steel Sharks. I want to hear about Scunthorpe Steel Sharks. If you know about them,
Parker,
let us know.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
But yes, and then I'm just having a look, seeing whether there's any other results that I may have missed. Steve,
I
think
the
you've
got them all there, Parker.
I think I've managed to get them this time round, which is all good. So what that does mean is that we've got playoffs on the horizon, doesn't it? So this coming weekend on Friday, we've got in the NCL Alliance Stanley against Heworth. On Saturday in Division 1, the playoffs see Siddle up against Ossett Trinity Tigers. Division 4, Dewsbury Moor are up against Alton Raiders. Division 5, Linley St Joseph's against Scarborough Pirates. And then further fixtures from the NCL Alliance Division: Normanton Knights against Milford, Shawcross Sharks against Heworth, West Bowling Academy against Milford. And I'm just looking because I think there may have been a couple of other fixtures that might need mentioning.
Murfield are up against Bradford Dudley Hill in Division 1. That's the other one to the Siddle card. And
then in the Premier Division, we've got some fixtures this weekend. Stanley take on Fryston Warriors, and Doncaster Tollbar up against King Cross Park. So that should be a good one. I'm just looking to see whether I've missed anything else there. Brighouse Rangers up against these are from Division 2 by the way. Brighouse Rangers up against Seacroft Sharks. Castleford Panthers up against Mould Green. And then
Division 3, you've got Dodders Miners up against Upton.
Yeah. So I think we mentioned that one. I think we're okay. This is what happens when you end up getting your fixtures from 2 different places, isn't it? And we're verifying.
Well, here we are, Parker. You were on about results being in twice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, Division 4, the fixtures are in twice. That Dewsbury Moor will be playing Alton Raiders twice, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, that should be a good game. 2 good games.
Is that a culmination? Are they going to do like...
Kick off at the same time as well? That should be interesting.
Oh, it is fantastic when you look at that, though, to a certain extent. Now, one thing to let everybody know about is that currently the Army are warming up for all the games in the Forces Championship. So
that kicking off, yeah.
That usually comes through at the back end of September. And they seem like they're a little bit busy over this coming weekend because they're playing against West Hull on Thursday evening.
Yeah.
They're playing against East Hull on Friday evening.
There you go. It's not got far for go then, really, have they, to be fair?
I tell you what, it's far enough, though. It's far enough. If you're from Hull, East Hull and West Hull, whoa.
Yeah, it is.
You're doing it again.
Yeah.
You're doing it again, Steve.
We're doing the canal job, aren't we?
But yeah, so again, really interesting to see that's happening at this time of year again. Yeah. The interforces. It's always a great time for rugby league within the Forces family. So
and to be honest, you get some really good games because not only that, when you see them starting the early rounds of the Challenge Cup, which obviously, is the beginning of the season, but they're always there or thereabouts, aren't they?
Oh, they certainly are, yeah.
They play some good rugby.
Right, we're moving up to Cumbria now.
Cumbria.
So we're going to talk about 3 games that took part at the weekend. So it was the semi-finals of the Fur Press Printers Cumberland Cup. Wathbrow Hornets hosted Louker in the first of those semi-finals, and it ended up being quite a commanding performance by Wathbrow Hornets A side, who defeated Louker in the end by 34 points to 12. So Wathbrow scored 6 tries in total, 2 of them going to fullback Peter Caddy, 1 each for Tom Chambers, Greg Rooney, Brad White and Jack Casey. Rooney also kicked 5 goals, and again, not saying that I keep tabs on any of the players what I've seen over the course of the year, but a certain Devon Sharp was in the half-backs there for Wathbrow Hornets, and it sounds like it was another good afternoon for the boys there. Louker, by the way, they scored 2 tries, Mitch Todd and Emerson Allen, who are both names that we've mentioned over the course of the season. Keith Campbell kicking 2 goals. In the other semi-final, it was Kells against Maryport, wasn't it? And this would have been fancied for Maryport because of the way that they've been going in the league. And it went that way by 24 points to 4. And then the other game that took place came courtesy of Division 1 of the Holman-Iggesund lead. And it finished Flimby 62, Askham 12. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm delighted about that result for Flimby. I've nothing against Askham, by the way, so I just want to get it out there before I start getting any hate mail across me social media. I love Askham as well. Great place, that, by the way. But Flimby, I mean, they started up again, didn't they, at the start of the year?
That's right, yeah.
And to be fair, they had a couple of, shellakins in the early part of the season, and so the fact that they've come back and they've now put 62 points on the side, I think they're starting to get to grips, aren't they? And it points well to the future, does that? So your fixtures this week in Cumbria. In the Premier Division, Wathbrow Hornets A host Cockermouth Titans, while in Division 1, Ellenborough Rangers A are set to take on Hensinghamay. Those fixtures taking place on Friday, by the way, and on Saturday your Premier Division fixture is Louker up against Maryport, and Division 1, 2 fixtures set to take place. Askham against Dissington A, Flimby hosting Espatria Hornets.
Yeah, do you know what? Something I found out, was it last week, maybe the week before, that James Graham was from Maryport.
Was he?
Yeah.
Originally?
Yeah, and his dad used to drive him down to Maryport, down to, I think it might have been Blackbrook.
Right.
Thatchwaith to do his rugby training and all the way back.
Wow, that's some commitment there, isn't there?
Yeah, I was watching him being interviewed.
You know what? I didn't know that.
I didn't. I knew.
I thought he was a Scouser.
Well, his dad is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And obviously, that's how he gets the accent to a certain degree. But that's.
He's from Maryport. He's in Marrow.
Yeah. So I was really surprised about that, I must admit. But yeah, it was an interview. I'm trying to think he was being interviewed by. I'll tell you what it was.
Was it his podcast?
Yeah, and it wasn't easy. It was a guy who does one for Canterbury Bankstown. And obviously he's an hero there, no ifs and buts. So he was being interviewed by this list. And I don't know how I picked it up. It was one of those, on YouTube, you've watched something and it recommends something else. And he was I was watching it. It was a good solid hour, and it was really, really good. But yeah, I didn't know about that.
I was today 45 years old when I found out that James Graham comes from Maryport. Wow. Oh, that's brilliant, that. It's brilliant. That's made me night. I'm going to be jotting that down. You know what? If that happens to be a question in a rugby league quiz sometime in the future, I'll thank you.
There you go.
I'll thank you. And if you're making a rugby league quiz, stick that one in it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll find out the YouTube channel and I'll send you the link that you can
right,
watch it, because it was really good, because it wasn't. It looked like he was a fan. Do you know what I mean? But it was a real good page. Really good page.
Right, Northwest Men's League. Let's do that one. And all the action kicked off last Thursday. I went over to this game, by the way. So Blackbrook 28, Ashton Burrs 20. It was a really good game. Yeah. Under the lights. Got a little bit chilly.
It does, doesn't it?
And I did a failing with the camera.
Oh.
Okay, so I took the camera because it was a gorgeous evening.
Yeah.
I thought I'll get loads and loads of pictures.
Yeah, some great ones under the lights.
Great ones under the lights.
Why do I think you're going to say you never charge your battery?
Yeah, and I didn't have a spare. So we get 5 minutes in. I think
it's usually one or two things. It's either battery or your card's full.
I think the standoff win for Blackbrook.
Yeah.
Great player. He eventually scored a hat trick, and I took a picture of him scoring one try because he broke through from about 50 metres. I was like really happy with myself. Tried to get a picture of him coming back to the halfway line, and it died on me. Oh, schoolboy error. This is what happens when you work with amateurs.
I was just going to say, I know certain photographers that are laughing their head off now at you.
Anyway, what have I learned? So at that time, I learned to always have a second battery in your pocket.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you should know that for having the battery on your phone for when we're doing the broadcasting.
Yeah, and because I do, I'm usually well prepared and stuff, you know. But I wasn't well enough prepared. But anyway, Blackbrook played some really really good stuff. Looked like they were going to win by quite a commanding margin actually, but they got pegged back in the second half by Ashton Burrs, who were much younger. They looked fitter.
Yeah.
But they couldn't quite break through. There was some really, really tip-top defence at the back end of the game. But great to see that Davo, my old mate Davidson, who represented Lancashire a few years ago, he's still going at the age of 40, playing a full 80 minutes in the back row for Blackbrook, tackling like a Trojan throughout. And that probably just those little extra efforts from a lot of the pack. That won through the day in the end, and that sparkling hat trick from Win the standoff as well. So yeah, it was a really really good game. Sorry that there's no post-match interview. As I say, it was a bit too chilly for me afterwards, and I thought I need to get back to the car. And
I bet you never took your ET gilet either, did you?
I didn't think I needed. I didn't think I'd need it in August.
Just think if you'd had your ET gilet, you'd have had a battery for your camera.
Oh. Yeah, no, it wouldn't have fit. They wouldn't have fitted that one, which is a pity because the capacity of that battery was.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Anyway, people will be thinking, have we tuned in? Have we tuned in to 13 Pro Am Community Rugby League show, or are these two just going to waffle on about anything but rugby league?
Yeah, 13 Pro Am IT show. Anyway, that puts Blackbrook in third in the league, by the way. With 18 points behind Oral St James and Hurstfinch.
I don't think they can be caught now, can they, with 18 points, or can they?
No, that Old Farners are on 15, so I think there's only one game left for those teams as well.
Okay. So you mentioned there, Hurstfinch. What a win this is. Hurstfinch 42,
when I saw this one.
Oral St James 4.
Yeah. All I can think here is, don't get me wrong, Hurstfinch are the red hot. There's no ifs, no buts in that. But all I can think that Oral St James have had a bit of an hangover from that Barlow Cup final against Tatooine, because that is just not them at all.
That's a superb result for Hurstfinch, and possibly goes some way to, dare I say it, ironing out some of those demons that they had at the start of the season when they got beat by Oral St James in the Challenge Cup.
Yeah. Other than that, I think they've turned them over every time. Other than that one, and I think that clinches the title for them.
Oh, it does. It means they can't be caught now, doesn't it? Which, what a fantastic season. What a brilliant, brilliant campaign. And again, it seems like they were tipped up in defence, weren't they? They've been conceding a few points lately, but back to only conceding 4 points. Really, really good. Halton Farmouth Hornets 28, Latchford Albion 14.
You've got to take your ass off there to Latchford Albion, because of the season that they've had. That is because we know Halton Farmouth have been doing pretty good as well, because they're fourth at the moment. So yeah, you've got to take your hat off to them there. It's not if you'd have saw a capitulation there and a big score, you'd have thought, okay, fair enough. It's the end of the season type of thing. But no, so that's off to him there.
And what a big result this was. Shevington Sharks 38, Folly Lane 20. So, that's a great result, that. in the Premier Division. Looking at Division 1, and your results there were West Horton Lions 50, Chorley Panthers 20. A bit of a local derby going on between them two, wasn't it?
We've said it all along, West Horton Lions have had a cracking season, haven't they? Really, really have. They're hanging in there now at third, behind Hindley and Dalton.
Speaking of Dalton, they had a 24-0 up against Thatto Heath Crusaders, Burton Wood Bridge 24, Salford City Roosters 16. So that was a tough fought win for Burton Wood Bridge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ulverston 26, Wigan St Cuthbert's 38, Hindley 48, Goulburn Parkside 24. Outstanding there for Hindley.
Yeah.
What a result that is. What does that do to the league table?
Well, Dalton are up there at top, and they've got 29 points, and then Hindley are behind them 26. That's 17 and 16 matches played respectively. Then we've got West Horton Lions there in third with 22 points, with Wigan St Cuthbert's on 19 points. Down at the bottom, we've got Goulburn Parkside, who just the 3 points, and Thatto Heath Crusaders also with 3 points. So it looks like the trapdoor will be opening up, and certainly I'm not sure whether it's 2 or 3 go down, but certainly those two. The other is Burton Wood Bridge, who are just on 8 points. Burton Wood Bridge and Goulburn Parkside have struggled this season in that division. I must admit, I thought Burton Wood Bridge might have been able to cope with it a bit better, but unfortunately, they're down there near the bottom.
Okay, in Division 2, Roost Pioneers 14, Hinepool Tigers 60. So the Tigers get the bragging rights there from the local derby. Rochdale Mayfield A20, Newton Storm 24. That's a great result for Newton Storm, isn't it?
They've come to a bit over the tail end, Newton. You've got to take your hat off to them, because they've had big gaps between games as well, and that's so easy to not be able to get back into the rhythm of things. But they've managed to get things together, and it's a strange one, this, because they are now the 6th out of 8 on 10 points. But if they win the last game and the results good, that correct, they can actually get up to 4th. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how strange. We've got two.
That is a strange division.
Oh yeah. Got 2 teams on 12 points and 3 teams on 10 points. And then at the bottom you got Wigan Springview, who are holding everything up on 5 points. They've gone. But it's just how those last results will go is going to be really interesting.
Lee Miners Rangers A went down to West Bank Bears by 30 points to 14. I wonder whether we're seeing the revival of West Bank Bears, because it wasn't that many years ago when they were vying for all the championships. They were feared, weren't they, across the Premier Division of the North West Men's.
Yeah, and they're a second on 19 points. They've played 9, lost 3, so they've had a good season.
And Springview getting a notable win against Waterhead by 20 points to 18.
That is it. It's considering, as I was saying, that down there at the bottom, Waterhead Warriors A are a third on the 12 points, like we were saying. So it's gone that all the way down from 3 to 7, depending on the results go. One of those could easily go. It's going to be really good this last couple of weeks.
Some big results from Division 3 as well. So Runcorn 24, Caddy's Rhinos 0, Higginshaw 4, Bank Keebles 42, and Clotface Miners A34, Wigan St Jude's 40.
Yeah, again, Garswood Stags and Bank Keebles have both had a really good season. Along with Runcorn Highfield, they'll probably felt they could have done a touch better. So you've got Garswood Stags on 26, Bank Keebles on 23, and Runcorn on 17, with Higginshaw coming in 4th at 16 points. Down at the bottom, you've got Caddi's Head Rhinos with -1, and Clotface Miners A with 2 points. Above them, you've got Blackpool Scorpions, and then Wigan St Jude's just missing out on that top 4 place there.
And in Division 4, we've got Orrell St James A0, Langworthy Reds 24, Haydock Warriors 34, Culcheth Eagles 4, West Horton Lions A42, Chester Gladiators 30.
Now that last one, that was an interesting one because Chester Gladiators are 7th and West Orton Lions are propping everything else up. And you look at it, they've got a minus 294 points difference. So you would have thought, it's the writing's on the wall there, but really good results.
So when they've lost big, haven't they? West Orton Lions A side.
Yeah. A. Warriors, brilliant season. 113, only lost to 2. I thought that, as you remember me saying that, I thought they might have gone through unbeaten. They've not fallen too short there. 26 points. Langworthy Reds just behind them with 17 points. Then Cultures Eagles with 16. And in 4th place is a Portico Vine. Just missing out there is Liverpool Lizards on 14. I think they can pat themselves on the back there. They've won 7 and lost 7. So considering how we spoke to them a few seasons ago when they were timing things really hard, I think they'll be more than happy with that. Hopefully try and push on again next season.
I think the interesting thing as well from when I was looking at that division was the fact that Haydock have topped over 500 points in 15 games.
Yeah.
Because, you're going some to score that amount of points, aren't you? As we keep saying when we go through the heavy scorers from the National Conference League.
And let's not skirt around this. Haydock, when they were in the Northwest Men's,
they're a fantastic side,
they were the force for a long time, and a similar sort of lines as Finch in that respect. Do you know what I mean? But like we've said, all you need to do is a few of those players retire and move on, and you haven't got the ones to come in and fill, and then you're going to struggle. And they obviously decided that they weren't going to carry on for a season or two, but managed to come back now, and I'm sure the way they're going on, I can see them marching up those leagues.
Fixtures this weekend in the Premier Division. Well, it's all started this evening, to be honest. So just as we're recording, Heysham Atoms are hosting Hurst Finch. I wonder whether they have had designs on trying to end this long winning run that Hurst Finch have. On Saturday, Ashton Bears are at home to Folly Lane. Halton Farmouth Hornets go across to Orrell St James in what looks like the pick of the fixtures. Blackbrook travel across to Shevington Sharks. So there's a good couple of local derbies there, isn't there?
Yeah, and you got to say again, hats off to Hurst Finch, because I think they've done this before where they've travelled midweek.
Oh, they have, yeah. They've travelled 2 or 3 times recently,
and all the way there to Heysham Atoms. You've got to say, hats off to them, and let's see how that result goes.
Division 1 fixtures this week. Well, that sees Dalton host Burton Wood Bridge. Ulverston travel down to Goulburn Parkside. Salford City Roosters bring their season to a close up against Thatto Heath Crusaders A. 2:30 kick off there.
Big one, this next one.
West Orton Lions up against Hindley.
Yeah. As much as West Orton Lions can't catch Hindley, because as I say, Hindley are on 26 points and West Orton Lions are on 22.
There's not much between those two clubs, though, in distance, is there?
There's some bragging rights there, isn't there, as well? And knowing that obviously playoffs are going to be coming up shortly as well, that's going to be good.
And finally, Wigan St Cuthbert's hosting Charlie Panthers from that division as well. So, your fixtures in Division 2. Wigan Springview host Highpool Tigers. Roost Pioneers are over at Newton Storm. Rochdale Mayfield A travel over to West Bank Bears. And then your Division 3 fixtures. We've got a couple of tasty ones here, by the way, as well. Wigan St Jude's up against Garswood Stags on Friday night. Blackpool Scorpions host Clockface Miners A. Runcorn are set to play off against Higginshaw on the Saturday as well. So, a couple of big matches. And then Division 4, we've got Portico up against Chester Gladiators. Culcheth Eagles against Liverpool Lizards. Langworthy Reds against West Horton Lions A. And that's all the fixtures that we've got from the North West Men's League, Steve.
Yeah, some good games there, sort of rounding off the season. I think there's might be one more week, I think, after that for some, certainly some of the teams that have got to finish the fixtures off. But yeah, and then it obviously starts like the Yorkshiremen's League, it starts taking us into playoff time.
In the Southern Conference, that we have had a couple of results from that which I can bring you. So we've got playoff semi-finals weekend was last weekend. So West Warriors 26, London Chargers 8, Hammersmith Hills Hoist 64, Bristol All Golds 4, and then that was in the playoff semi-finals. In the plate semi-finals, you got Eastern Rhinos 24, Brentwood Eels 0, North Hearts Crusaders 34, Bedford Tigers 18. So that's what that is. And this coming Saturday, if you are down in London, why not check out the Grand Finals day? So they've got a plate final, Eastern Rhinos against North Hearts Crusaders, starting at 11:30. Then they have Hammersmith Hills Hoists against West Warriors at 3:30. Both of those games being played at London Scholars' New River home, by the way. And there will also be a game between the Brixton Bulls and the Telford Raiders as well. Free admission if you're going down there, so that's for the Harry Jepson Trophy. So that's all what's happened there. A quick update on international duties as well.
Right.
So Wales 6, England 40. So this was happened in the Physical Disability Rugby League.
Ah, right. Yeah.
So I thought it was really good to see, them back in action.
Yeah.
Obviously World Cup holders.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's the first. Well, it seems like it's the first time in forever that they've took the field. In fairness, but
yeah.
I think they did play it earlier on in the season. But really, really interesting there. Which means you look like you're busy delving here, Steve.
I'm delving for something. Just talk amongst yourself while just try and find.
Okay.
I'm trying to find our friend Mr. Kennedy, who plays for Castleford in the England, and obviously his physical disability. He's only got the one arm, hasn't he? Anyway, he was away with his good lady, and they went to watch Taylor Swift. Yeah.
How's he managed to get tickets? Well, we're back on tickets again, aren't we?
Well, he was right near the front, and his T-shirt had said, I think it said something like, "I give my right arm to get Taylor Swift tickets." And I finally got saw by one of the crew, Taylor Swift's crew, and they give him one of the guys' guitarists. They give him one of his obviously his plectrums from the guitar to everything, which was, I think it might have been signed or whatever. But
he's not flogged it on eBay, has he?
But when I saw it, it was my lad who told me about it. He says, "Have a look at this," and he sent me the photo through. And I thought, that's exactly him. It's exactly him. It's one of the things where doesn't shy away from his disability and doesn't let him stop him doing what he wants to do. And that's off to him. And obviously, we know in terms of you've spoke to him and interviewed him, and he's a cracking lad.
Definitely. Right, Steve. It's that time of the show, isn't it? National Conference League Roundup, and we are, as I say every week, approaching the business end.
We've got to get a jingle for this next year, haven't we?
The business end. It just needs to be just us going, the business end, the business end, the business end. For many of these divisions, the penultimate round as well, wasn't it? So it's round 21. Certainly in the Premier Division, your results, Kells 16, Worthborough Hornets 46. So the Hornets, Holgate scoring a couple of tries there. Walker Taylor amongst the points yet again with a try and 7 goals. Other scores going the way of Moore, McCourt, Dixon, McConnell and Kerwin. Now Kerwin's been kicking goals over the last few weeks for Worthborough Hornets.
Yeah.
But I have to say it's good to see Walker Taylor back, because I think he really adds a different dimension to the way that they attack and the way that they play.
Definitely.
For Kells, they've fallen upon harder times as the season has gone on. And I think that result means that they have got relegated from the Premier Division after a 2-season stint. Yeah. So they had tries through Chambers, Ainley and Garner, with Dom Weir kicking 2 goals. On Saturday, also from the Premier Division, Egremont Rangers, they also got relegated last week, I think. They were defeated by Heworth by 40 points to 14. The Villagers with tries from Donaldson. West grabbed 2, Dent grabbed 2. Sadler and Briggs, the other try scorers. Sadler kicking 6 goals there. And for the Rangers, Fraser McNee scoring a couple of tries. Conway with a try. Horton with a goal as well. It was 22-10 at half-time there. So well done to Heworth. It's a result that gives them a chance of staying up in the division. Obviously, it is 3 up and 3 down as far as the National Conference League is concerned. Elsewhere, this is a massive result as far as the end of the season, and gives everybody that little bit of hope.
And you know what, Parky, this drops into that conversation we had a couple of weeks ago when we were on about the likes of Siddle and where Hunslet are, and I said, do you know what, Hunslet are just that type of team who come the end of the season when, if everybody's fit, and they could well be, no suspensions, etc., Hunslet have got to be the team to fear, because they've been through this situation so many times, haven't they, and come out on top.
I mean, they have had a few suspensions of Hunslet and injuries.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you say, there's a few of those players that are going to be nearing the end of those suspensions, coming back into contention. If any team is going to win it from 4th, it's going to be Hunslet, isn't it?
Surprise me.
It would be Hunslet. I mean, they defeated Siddle, by the way, 24 points to 10. So McShane scoring a try there, Gale scoring a try, Dargan and Cohen. Gale kicking 4 goals. They were leading 12-0 against Siddle at half-time. That is no mean feat, keeping Siddle to 0 in a half of rugby. And in the second half, Siddle scored tries through Walsh and Booth, Hosty kicking a goal, but it wasn't going to be enough there against Hunslet, and that's a great result. Tell you what, this next one as well is a great result, particularly for West Bowling. It's not a great result if you support Thatto Heath Crusaders, because at one point in this game, Thatto were leading 32 points to 18. And it was a run of 3 tries at the end of the game, all converted by Harry Williams, who ended up with 6 goals, which ended up giving them the result by 36 points to 32. So for West, Barrett scored 2 tries, Scully scored 2, Harry Williams grabbed a try to add to his 6 goals, Camden the other try scorers. For the Crusaders, they looked well in control, like I said, leading 32 points to 18 midway through the second half. They had tries to cheer through Huff, Holroyd, Horton, Pike, Kenny and Dickinson, with Horton also adding 4 goals. But ultimately, it wasn't to be enough, and they could go down. Results elsewhere this week. Thatto could be a Division 1 club. We could be talking about them joining the likes of Crossfields and Wigan St Pat's and Woolston Rovers next season.
I can hear them now with Thatto. He's shouting at the whatever device they're listening to this on.
Stay away, Dave.
The Grim Reapers at it again.
Stay away, Dave. Don't come anywhere near our club. Great result for West Hull, by the way. So they defeated Rochdale Mayfield by 20 points to 8. They have wobbled a little bit over recent weeks of West Hull with a couple of the results that they've had, but they've got back on the winning run there. Masique scoring a couple of tries, Moore and Palmer the other try scorers, Wilson kicking 2 goals, Travis Long and Van Ursula Hewitt scoring the tries for Rochdale Mayfield. I don't know whether I've gone anywhere close to pronouncing that correctly, but I've said it with the amount of confidence that you'd expect somebody to say. But obviously, if I had mispronounced that, please let me know. Rochdale Mayfield. Ultimately, that wasn't enough to defeat West Hull, who held out for a 20 points to 8 win, by the way. And this is a great result, and really does keep that playoff light alive.
It does,
for York
it?
Acorn going into the final week. They've defeated Loch Lane by 22 points to 20. And
Loch Lane with the team in form as well, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. And I sort of found out a little bit, about this, because I thought when this came through, and I was like, I looked at when the try was scored, and it was scored 3 minutes from the end. And it was like, oh, what was this like? So I only went and emailed the man of the moment. So I went and emailed Josh.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to him, what was this game like?
What happened?
Tell me about it. So I've got to read you his response here as well, to be fair. So, I said to him, what was the last try scorer like? And he said, honestly, it was a beauty. 30 metres out, we looked like we were playing a shape from right to left through our middle unit. Nath Hamilton passed it from dummy half to hooker Alfie Crawford, who tipped on to prop Jordan Hyde in the middle of the field. He shaped a pass out the back, but threw a no-look pass to 18-year-old prop Elliot Welburn, who crashed through the line, rampaging over the fullback, and scored with 2 men who came in on him right at the end. It was a banger, to be fair. The kick was only 10 metres to the left of the sticks, so Ant Chilton, he's been doing that all the way through his career, and as pressure kicks go, it was pretty simple for him. Absolutely brilliant, but what a result!
Yeah, because it sets it up there.
They won 22-20 against Loch Lane. And I got friends in both camps there, obviously, with me Lions sort of commitments through the last few years. Acorn scoring tries through Lord, Parker, Husband, and that one from Welburn, which won it. 3 goals from the boot of Ant Chilton, which were the difference in the end. For Lane, Martin, Jordan, Muir and Sowerby got over for tries. Punchard kicking 2 goals. And yes, York Acorn tucked very nicely in behind Loch Lane in a all-out scrap for the final playoff position there. Looking ahead to Division 1, and again, there were some cracking games that took place at the weekend here. So Crossfields 16, Lee Miners Rangers 22. You said that you caught up with it on the YouTube channel. Yeah, I saw it
on YouTube, and obviously we've covered both of these clubs on commentary. And it was an interesting game. Crossfields, I mean, like they have done in the past, started off like an house on fire to a certain degree, and you thought Lee Miners just can't get in the stride here, and they were a little bit clunky to a certain degree. But once they started this in the straps, Lee Miners, they got into the pace. And we'd seen, obviously, a couple of weeks before, when we were down at Lee Miners Rangers, Williamson leave the field and be
quite early on in the game, to be honest, wasn't it? About half an hour in.
Yeah, and he played in at centre and right. Couldn't have been long left. The full back Noah Lancelot brought through, and
Williamson supported.
And he was there, and in he went.
That was the second of 2 tries from Williamson, that he scored in the game. Others go in the way of Parks and Derby. So again, a couple of other lads that have had England Lions sort of commitments over the last few years, shall we say. 3 goals from the boot of Pilkington, who is a fantastic kicker, by the way, isn't he? For the Soap, who trailed by 10 points to 12 at half-time, there was a couple of tries from Steele, 1 from Boyne, and 2 goals from the boot of Stanway. What he needed was you egging him on, didn't he?
He did, yeah. But yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game to watch. I mean, my only complaint, and it's a thing that's creeping in the game, not just in the amateur game, but certainly in the professional game, is obviously in this day and age with head-eye tackles and various things. And obviously in the amateur game, it being above the, it's got to be armpits.
Armpit length, isn't it? Armpit height.
Anything that goes near that sort of, like, all the arms are in the air, and and it's not a good look for me. And we were having a chat this on one of the other podcasts that I speak on, where we were talking about the head-eye tackles and it being a bit iffy. I said, well, trust me, next season, I said, if it's going to be above the armpit,
it's funny because I've been sat in press boxes as well, and certainly, one of the games that I got to cover last weekend was Lee against Warrington. And there was what was considered in some respects a contentious send-off, wasn't there, after only 10 minutes for Paul Vaughan. And as everybody's going, ooh, in this press box, not sure about that 10 minutes in, I'm like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Like I've been watching, it was like Batman turning overdrive, it was. You ain't seen nothing yet, just wait till what I've been seeing this season in the community game comes in for the pros.
I mean, to be fair, the referees and the community teams have adapted to it.
Oh, they have
very well.
Yeah, they have.
And from the old malicious head eye tackles where you've got a good clunk around the head. There's virtually been none that I've seen of any. It's
normally been techniques, hasn't it? But there's ways that you can coach around that. So one of the things that I've certainly noticed this year, and this has kept a lot more of the penalties down. Don't get me wrong. I know that we have seen a lot of high tackle penalties, and some would argue that they're not high tackles, but the class is high tackles now, aren't they? And whether we like it or not, it's staying in. That's right, it's not going anywhere. But what I have noticed with some sides is, and I said this for what will have to get adopted in Super League and in the professional ranks, you see players having to alter their stance, and if you want to tackle, you've got to get lower than your opposition and push. Yeah, and that's the way that you do it. So we could see
when you make the contact, you're making the contact in the right area.
You're making it in the right area, But for me as well, you're also making a good contact, So I know it's something that so many clubs they practice now. It's part of the drills. Yeah. It's part of what they do when they're warming up and stuff like that. So have a look next time we do a game together, and you'll notice some of the wrestle and the squeeze that goes in.
I must admit, with all the games we've watched, I have not seen many penalties given for hand on the ball, which you would think that would be more prevalent if you're going to tackle somebody. You can't tackle somebody, when I say higher up, you can't get a grip of them. You've got to be worried of where you're going to get them.
Yeah, where the contact is.
Yeah, so you would expect, okay, fair enough. If we're going to do this, then the guy's going to be able to get a good offload in. So again, on the backside of that, you would think, well, the coach has said, well, clamp the ball, get your hand on the ball and stop them doing that. But it's not. They've managed to get the arms in and keep the arms. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're talking amateur players who train once a week, possibly, but two at the most.
But it's all, that all comes from communication, So and the initial contact. So if the initial contact is good, and hopefully you've got somebody who wraps themselves around the ball and stops that ball from moving, and then the other players can concentrate on the technique of bringing that player to the ground in a safe manner and a controlled manner,
It's going to be very interesting.
But it is going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa, just you wait till next season, and then I can say, I told
you so.
Told you. Right, elsewhere in Division 1, Dewsbury Maroons 38, Clockface -6. Big result, that one, by the way. So Maroons scoring tries to Berry, Butterfield, O'Sullivan, Woodcock, Adams, Barnes and Burland. Your name didn't have to start with B to get on the score sheet, but it seems that I think most of them ended up doing just that for the Dewsbury Moor Maroons. For Clockface Miners, Hughes getting over for a try, Gerrity kicking a goal. Coolbridge, by the way, kicking 5 for Dewsbury Moor Maroons, who led 14-0 at half-time.
Yeah, and it's strange. I'm just looking at the league table there, and obviously when we've covered Maroons a few times this season, I mean, they've been on a bit of a downer where they've had quite a few losses. And I'm thinking, well, they've lost so many matches. I'm looking at it. They're in what? 1, 2, 3, 4. They're in 4th. And they've only lost, when I'm saying they've only lost 6 matches. But obviously, at the beginning of the season, they were absolutely rattling it, weren't they? So,
they were.
So, that stood them in good stead there, hasn't it, at the end of the day? So, Clockface, they've had a tough season, haven't they?
They have had a tough season.
There's no ifs about it. Yeah. There's been a lot in the background that's gone on as well. And it's a shame, because when you look at it, when we were there at the beginning of the season, it was the Challenge Cup and everything was bright and breezy. Just shows you what rugby league can do to you, can't it?
They can still save their bacon, right? Because there's 3 games left from a Division 1 point of view.
Yeah.
So, they win all of those games. There's another 6 points to go on there, isn't there? Which would take them to 15. I've not lost out hope. I've not lost out hope yet of Clockface climbing that mountain, but it's getting like Everest every week.
Yeah, because then you're hoping that Stanley and Old Dockers don't pick up any any points, aren't you?
Yeah, but both of those teams met each other, by the way. So that's the next game that we're talking about. So Hull Lockers 18, Stanningley 28. How important is that a win for Stanningley, by the way?
Yeah.
So they had tries from Ruan, Dyer Dixon, Taylor and Mallington. Mallington kicked 5 goals as well. For the Dockers, who trailed by 14 points to 6 at half-time, they had tries through Brannigan, Fletcher and Heel. Agar kicking 3 goals, but it wasn't quite enough to overcome Stanningley. But those two sides locked on 11 points, and it's currently point difference, which if we had relegation tomorrow, that's keeping Stanningley in the division. Yeah. So if you look at it, there's 1 try difference. 4 points is all that it is, which is nothing. So this is why I love National Conference League, because you get these sort of variations, don't you, in points, and you're thinking, oh, a result here, a disallowed try here or there. It's the difference between someone stopping a division and getting relegated, isn't it? Yeah. So elsewhere, we had Ince Rosebridge 60, Skirler 14. Kieran Eccleston booting 8 goals along the way for Bridge, who had a couple of tries for Aaron, a couple of tries from Kyle Malone. Pete Valentine scoring a couple of tries as well. Shaw, Morrison, Jay Malone, Rogers and Boyd, the other scorers. It was a walking day, really, wasn't it, for Ince Rosebridge, this one, unfortunately. Skirler, they had tries through Atkinson, McLeod and Gurnall, with 1 goal from the boot of Kay Bevan, but they were well out of the contest at half-time when they trailed by 38 points to 8, and Ince Rosebridge eventually topping 60 points in that one. Waterhead Warriors, well, they have all but confirmed the league leaders, winning 44 points to 10 against Ulton Raiders. So this was an Ulton Raiders side, by the way. They actually beat them in the reverse fixture.
Ah, right. There's not many teams done that, has there?
There isn't many teams. No, you look at the results, and Waterhead have only lost 3 of their 19 games. They've gone and scored 747 points in all of those games, by the way. 44 of those were scored on this day. Jensen Hamilton scoring a couple of tries there. He also kicked a goal as well. Murphy, Bridge, Brennan, Holland and Barker and Dodd, the other scorers. Brennan kicking 4 goals, Hamilton with 1, like I said, and Perks with another goal to add to his tally as well. For Ulton Raiders, well, that free scoring centre Holdsworth went over for a try. Walpole scored and also kicked a conversion, but they were well out of the contest. Basically, Waterhead doubled their advantage in the second half, so it was 22-6 to them at half-time. They finished 44 points to 10. Another side that is going great into the closing stages of the season, by the way, Woolston Rovers. Yeah. What a win this was. Away at Wigan St Pat's, who, you know, like I know with St Pat's, there's a rebuild job taking place there. And it's a rebuild that is probably going to take a couple of seasons. I can't see them getting in the playoffs. I don't know whether that's a big call with 3 games left and 6 points still up for grabs, but just as it stands at the moment, Taylor scored a couple of tries in this game. Kendrick and Smith, the other scorers, Smith kicking 4 goals, but they lost to Woolston 44 points to 24, by the way. Dixon scoring a couple of tries, Adam Files, Palin on from the bench, scoring 3, which is a great result for him. I mean, I know he's an impact player. We found that when they played against Crossfield a few weeks ago. And he enjoyed that role, didn't he, of being the rough house in the middle that came and just did it. But he's got something about his game, hasn't he, Palin?
Yeah, and again, Woolston Rovers, you know, we were talking about a couple of teams in the other divisions who've been promoted and have struggled. Here, Woolston Rovers, obviously, last year managed to go up in the playoffs, and I've held their own, and certainly towards the end of the season they started to put a few results together. If things had gone a little bit better beginning of the season, maybe they'd have been, you know, up and fighting in there for those playoffs. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're talking what they've come into there and held their own in the majority of matches and you know, sort of not been pasted, as it were.
Bodes pretty well, doesn't it, for Community Rugby League in Warrington, the fact that, you know, the two sides are doing, you know, solid stuff, aren't they, in that Division 1. Lawton kicking 5 goals, Dixon with 1 there. And then Division 2, it was the big derby between Dewsbury Celtic and Shawcross Sharks.
Dewsbury.
Could anybody stop the Shawcross Sharks? Could Dewsbury Celtic be the only other team other than Wigan St Jude's to lower the colours this season? No. Shawcross Sharks won in the end by 20 points to 10, but Dewsbury Celtic led by 6 points to 0 at half time. Waring and Russell, their try scorers, Paul Fulston kicking 1 goal. Meanwhile, for the Sharks, Frayne grabbed 2 tries, Smith, Stevenson getting the all-important touchdowns, Tomlinson with 2 goals there. And they're on the edge of picking up the championship title, but a little bit more about that, because there's another team it's very much in contention. Millom had a magnificent result at home against Myton Warriors. It's a result that does relegate Myton, by the way, this. So the Woolly-Backs winning by 52 points to 10. A certain Blinkhorn scored 2 tries. And there was also 2 tries for Connor Terrell and 2 for Lupton. Other scores going the way of Wright, Askew and Evans. And a certain Jack Newbegin booting 8 goals as well for Millom. Meanwhile for Myton, they had tries from Slater and Fisher. 1 goal from the boot of Sanderson. Myton actually started this game pretty well, but soon found themselves overwhelmed. Trailed by 28-10 at half-time. Eventually fell to a 52-10 defeat. Oldham St Anne's have been very, very frustrating over the last few months. They had a real rip-roaring start to life in the competition, didn't they? Where they looked like, for a time, they were going to challenge Shawcross Sharks. They were going to challenge Wigan St Jude's, but then have fallen away, and it's been like, a win, a loss.
A bit stuttery, hasn't he?
A win, a loss, a loss. But what a way to bounce back into form, defeating Normanton by 62 points to 20. So, a hat-trick there from Flanagan. 7 goals from the boot of Pogson. 1 goal from Flanagan and 1 from Smith as well. Chatterton, Nixon, Zaffino, Saunders, Sykes, Rose, Ayres and Worrell, the other try scorers for Oldham St Anne's. Meanwhile, for Normanton Knights, I should say, Constantine grabbed a try. Joe Crossland got over. Biscombe got over the line, as did Carter. Goal split between Carter and Crossland. And then the lucks ran out for Saddleworth Rangers. They are down following defeat at home against Barrow Island, who boosted their survival chances with a 32 points to 8 defeat. Now, you know, as I've mentioned at times this season, you've got Harrison Dodd, who's been playing for Waterhead. And his daddy's Gavin Dodd. Used to play for Widnes, used to play for Swinton, I want to say. But had a long, distinguished semi-professional career. One of the top finishers. That Dodd who scored for Saddleworth this week is Gavin. He is still playing. Fair play to him. Him and Kenway got on the try scoring list, but by the time they'd scored, Barrow Island had virtually got the game wrapped up. They led by 26 points to 0 thanks to tries from Dutton, Roscone, McBain, both Jack and Carl. Baines and Anderson Moore scoring their tries, with Sam Jones kicking 6 goals along the way as well. Pilkington Rex, though, did give their survival hopes a real boost, but they're not quite out of the water yet either. They defeated playoff chasing Thornhill Trojans, who have all but sewn up that playoff.
And this is 2 teams who have been in the same boat for quite a few seasons. They both tumbled down and just started to get a grip again now, haven't they? And
now, remember earlier in the season we talked about the reverse fixture, didn't we? And the fact that I think Ady had said that he'd been along to this, and he was really impressed with Gibson. Said that he'd done everything for Thornhill Trojans. Sounds like he'd done everything in this game again, as well. 2 tries, 2 goals for him, by the way. But it wasn't enough, so O'Connell with 2 tries and a goal. Connick rolling the clock back with a try and 4 goals. Palladino and Kenny, the other scorers. A great result. Pilkington Rex winning that one by 30 points to 12. And then elsewhere, you have Cassidy, the main man for Wigan St Jude's, yet again 2 tries and 9 goals. But I think it's important to really mention here about Barry Rothwell. So not only did he add a goal, he's brought the curtain down on his playing days.
Yeah.
So he's announced that he's going to be stepping down at the end of the season. He had actually planned to retire just before COVID.
Yeah.
But he decided that he would play on after coming back after COVID. But he's covered virtually every position for St Jude's. So I read the tribute to him that St Jude's put out, and he's played, get this right, fullback, centre, wing, halfback, both roles, hooker, loose forward. There's nothing that he can't do. He is Mr. Fix-It personified. He has been a fantastic servant.
So what's he got? He's got one match to get into prop and second row.
I don't know whether that's going to happen, but superb to sort of read all about this. Now, they've been high scoring all the way through the season of Wigan St Jude's. 806 points amassed in 21 games. Cassidy with 2 tries, Morley Samuels with 2 tries, Dugdale McNally, and then you've got Connor Parkinson with 2 tries, Harry Parkinson,
far too many Parkinsons,
his brother,
play for
with a try, Fallon with a try, and Aaron Smith with a score as well. For Ellenborough, they had tries through Andy Ossel and Okasini. 2 goals from the boot of Jones, but they were well out of that game, and St Jude's ended up winning that one by 68 points to 12.
And we've said, Parker, the importance in teams, if you're going to compete and be there or thereabouts at the end of the season, is having somebody who can kick goals
and consistency in selection. So that's 2 things that Wigan St Jude's have had in abundance this year.
Cassidy's goal kicking rate must be, I don't know what his actual numbers are, but every week you very rare you see him in the sort of only kicked 1 type of, when they've scored quite a few tries.
I was going to say, unless they've only scored 1 try.
When they've scored a few tries, it's very, very rare.
To be fair, if you're scoring 806 points in a season, there's very few sides that have been able to live with them.
And it's a guy, when you watch him play as well, his game is so... It's so good to watch, because he's one of them guys, when he gets the ball in hand, you think something is going to happen here.
And if it doesn't, he'll make it happen.
Oh, yeah. It's... they're great to watch. Some, as I said, probably the 2 standout players I've liked to watch this season. Chilton, who I think looks so classy, and Cassidy as well, is in that same sort of role, that when they get their hands on the ball. I was going to say,
imagine putting them both in a half-back pairing.
Say ya.
I tell you what, Saints wouldn't be struggling for points then, would they?
But yeah. To watch, you think that they just make things happen, and the vision for the kicking game and things like that. It's really, really good.
Division 3, big game here as well, by the way, Steve. Dissington 16, Hensingham 24. Oh, I mean, those 2 sides have been going hammer and tongs at the top end of the league. That is a great result for Hensingham, by the way. So Hens scoring the tries through Brown, Butterworth, Charlton and Kellett, our good friend. Wetherill, your good friend, kicking 4 goals. For Dissington, they had tries through Rook and Fox, who grabbed 2. Spate grabbing the other score. Didn't have any goals though, so it's that extra goal kicking which has won the day for Hensingham, really.
And that's what we just said, the importance of a good kicker.
And a good first half as well, because they led by 24 points to 4. Driglington 38, Milford 16. So Drigg scoring tries through Sheldon, who grabbed 2, Blake, who grabbed 2, others going the way of Hallett, Burton and Ward. Jay Sanderson kicked 3 goals, Hunter kicked 2. Meanwhile for Milton. I've just created another rugby league club. Meanwhile for Milford, Dutton grabbed 2 tries, Todd with the other score, Haywood kicking 2 goals. It was a brave second half for Milford, but ultimately all the damage done in the first for Drigg, who were leading by 22 points to 0. All the damage done in the first half as well for East Leeds as well, who have climbed to the very summit of Division 3. They have been a class apart as well over the course of the season, haven't they, East Leeds? We saw the corresponding fixture,
we did,
didn't we? Where East put in a hell of an effort, but this East Leeds side is a little bit special, isn't it? At that level. So let's run you through the scorers. Conroy grabbed a try. Top scorer Mins carried on his real good try scoring. Camano grabbed 2. Keedy, Gibbons and Jackessi, the other try scorers. Littlewood kicking 5 goals. For the East, O'Brien and Prescott getting the tries. Aspinall kicking 2 goals. But as I mentioned, damage done first half. East Leeds led 28-0. And then elsewhere, Featherstone Lions have got their first win of the season. We wondered whether they would get one at all this season, and it's come just 2 games from the end of the campaign for them. And it is a good win, you're quite right. They've defeated Bentley by 34 points to 22. So Hammond, Roberts, Mountain and Beresford with a try each. Berry's scoring 2 tries, I should say. Johnson kicking 5 goals. Meanwhile for Bentley, 2 tries for Marshall, 1 each for Starbuck and Wedlock. 3 goals from the boot of Sykes. Really good first half, by the way, for the Lions. They led 24-10 at the break. Got the job done. And Seaton Rangers went so close to picking up their second win of the season as well, with Beverley wrestling an almighty tussle up in Cumbria by 14 points to 10. For the Rangers, Dixon and Nixon scored the tries. Muse grabbing a goal. And for Beverley, Norman scored 1 try. Harold scored 2. Poskett kicked 1 goal. It was 14 points to 10. Some fantastic results there this week.
Yeah, very, very much. I mean, and it sets up a lot of good fixtures for this coming week as well.
Oh, it does, right.
Because, that phrase you used earlier on, the business end of the season, well...
The business end.
For a lot of those looking at the trapdoor, it is the business end of the season next week.
Okay. So, your fixtures this coming week. Premier Division, Heworth against Hunslet. Rochdale Mayfield against West Bowling. Siddle against Loch Lane. And that one kicks off at 1:30. Thatto Heath Crusaders against Kells. Kells could be the big upset merchants there, couldn't they?
They could. My only concern there.
Do you think that Thatto will do it?
Well, the thing is, Kells have gone, haven't they?
They have.
So I suppose that their game plan is, spoil the apple cart, isn't it? That's the only thing they can really play for now.
And if you're Heworth, you're thinking, oh geez, we've got to get a result against Hunslet.
Yeah, you are back in on form at the moment, aren't you?
Worthbrow Hornets host West Hull. York Acorn against Egremont. So you're thinking, right? If Siddle get the win against Loch Lane, they finish top of the league. If Loch Lane get the win, that just about sews up playoff rugby. Yeah. Depending on if York Acorn put a big score on Egremont, in which case it could be we could be talking. It could be a couple of points either way, couldn't it?
I'll tell you what, it's watching them scores come in on Saturday is going to be massive, isn't it?
I'm going to be glued to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely glued. Division 1, Clockface Miners host Wigan St Pat's. Crossfields are against Dewsbury Moor Maroons. Lee Miners Rangers up against Hull Dockers. Alton Raiders against Ince Rose Bridge. Skirler against Waterhead Warriors. Woolston Rovers up against Stanley. So again, real movement potentially. Yeah. In the bottom part of that division especially. Division 2, this is where it gets a bit tasty, doesn't it? Okay, so get ready to start playing. We've not got the Great Escape theme tune in the background, have we? Just... Okay, enough of that. We've got Barrow Island hosting Thornhill Trojans. A win there for Barrow Island, and everybody else above them is looking over their shoulder about whether they get dragged into it. Elsewhere, we've got Ellenborough Rangers hosting Normanton Knights. Which Normanton is going to turn up? Because if it's like the real Slim Shady, isn't it?
Please stand up.
If the real Normanton Knights show up, then that could be a long afternoon for Ellenborough. I'm just thinking about results over recent weeks. But then again, if it's this inconsistent Normanton, Ellenborough do have the players in their ranks to cause an upset. What else have we got? We've got Myton Warriors against Dewsbury Celtic. Oldham St Anne's against Saddleworth Rangers, so a bit of a local derby going on there. Pilkington Rex against Millham.
Now that's a biggie because they are both on 16 points.
Yeah.
And Millham are just above Pilks Rex. So basically that is a...
who wins that is safe, aren't they?
But yeah, there's no way from it. And obviously we're talking about other results, but the thing is both teams have got to go at that, haven't they?
Yeah, and the loser... Well, they'll be checking all the other results, won't they? And seeing where did we get to with our points difference and everything like that, because that's how close it could come to. But this is how close it is at the top as well, because we've got a certain game between, and we can't say this for very much longer, Paul March's Shawcross Sharks and Wigan St Jude's. So Shawcross have had a magnificent season. Yeah. They've only lost when I've seen them. So 20 wins,
ever
1 defeat. They've amassed 762 points, only conceded 292. They've got a whopping great point difference of 470. They're on 40 points. They're up against Wigan St Jude's, second in the division, like we were saying before, 806 points scored over the course of the competition, 324 points conceded. The difference at the moment, the point difference is 12. So any result there for Wigan St Jude's, they win the championship. Any result for Shawcross Sharks,
and they win the championship.
So it's a winner takes all.
Yeah, it's a final.
Who writes this stuff? Who writes this stuff? It's a final, and then whoever wins that gets the championship. I mean, that is a dream weekend fixture, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, one thing from Shawcross Sharks. I mean, I know they were in a similar sort of position last year against Woolston, weren't they, when you were there? And I know that was a playoff for them to that
was a playoff final. All the weather that day.
Yeah, but it's going to have that same feel about it, isn't it? Because both teams want to win that league. Wigan St Jude's will want to think we can go up there and win it. And Shawcross Sharks, want to hold on to that top spot. As much as they know they're going up, they still want to hold on to that top spot.
Now, if you are thinking, if we wet your whistle there, and you're thinking, hey, I'm going to get across to that. If you're travelling from the Lancashire side of the of the country,
Pennines,
and you're transversing those Pennines, then you're going to have to check your routes, because there is a section of the M62 that is closed this weekend, and will be closed probably until just before I go to work on Monday morning. But yes, that's a massive game. A massive game. And in Division 3, your fixtures this coming weekend: Bentley against East Leeds, Beverley against Islington, Hensingham up against Featherstone Lions, Milford up against Seaton Rangers.
Yeah, there's not as much as involved in those games in some of those in Division 2. Division 2, there I've got some absolute crackers.
There's definitely going to be all eyes in Division 2 this weekend, isn't there? Then just seeing who makes it and who doesn't in the Premier Division as well. One or two results there that could go either way, can't they, as well?
Yeah, very much. And that's what I like about this, as it comes to this, is seeing who can get into. It's not just about winning the leagues, etc. It's seeing those other teams that have maybe struggled, throughout the season, suddenly, getting a bit of momentum and getting towards those playoffs to see, how they can fare moving forward as well.
We'll see how everything eventuates over the course of this weekend, and hopefully next week we'll be able to be in a position to reveal our next commentary gigs as we get to the business end.
Yeah, because there's going to be some cracking matches.
There certainly is, isn't there? Steve, it's been fantastic being alongside you again, mate. We've discussed it all. From nerd tech to cameras to Taylor Swift has got a mention. Oasis got a mention early doors. Who says we're not popular culture?
We'll be everywhere.
We'll see you again next week. It's been great. But do keep up to date with everything on our X page. So that's at 13ProAmRL. We'll see you next week. Cheerio.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.